Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, I will introduce myself. My name is Fiani, but you can call me Fiani. I'm from Big C class and the fourth semester. Now I will tell you about Skripsi by Nurfianti Herman. The theme is upgrading student vocabulary by using semantic mapping at the second grade MTS Negeri Model Palopo. Chapter 1 Introduction. In the chapter 1, there are 5 material. The first is background. Vocabulary is one of the elements of language and all about word or a special set of words you are trying to learn. So we need strategy in teaching vocabulary learning. Strategy might help students learn and remember words in learning a foreign language. The second is problem statement. The semantic mapping applies student vocabulary at the second grade of MTS Negeri Palopo. Third, objective of the research. To find out whether semantic mapping applies student vocabulary at the second grade MTS Model Palopo. 4. Significances of the research. There are two significances of this research, namely theoretical development and practical development. The 5 is scope of the research. This research focuses on teaching descriptive tests or describing people and focus on adjective and nouns. The right use the cluster cloud diagram to upgrade student vocabulary. Chapter 2 Theoretical Framework. Review of related literature. Previous related study. In the study, the right took the 3 previous studies. First, Krishnawati found that using the semantic mapping to teach reading comprehension was able to improve the student ability. The second is Dialek and Nyuruk found that semantic mapping technique is more effective than the traditional technique in vocabulary learning. Afrianti found that student reading comprehension of the 10th grade has improved and the student response in learning were positive. B. Vocabulary. First, definition of vocabulary. The vocabulary is an essential part of learning a language because the language is essentially a set of vocabulary. Second, kinds of vocabulary. According Pinoy in Padilla, that vocabulary is divided into 2 types. First, function word needs to be learned as quickly as possible. Second, content word can be learned in small group around life situation. According to Hedge and Brown in Fadila, vocabulary can be divided into 2 kinds. There are positive vocabulary and receptive vocabulary. Positive vocabulary is of word which the student understand, can pronounce correctly and use constructively in speaking and writing. Receptive vocabulary is of word the student requires and understand when they occur in a context but which they cannot produce correctly. C. Semantic mapping. Definition of semantic mapping. Semantic is the study of the meaning of a word in a language. Semantic mapping is a technique of teaching words that is connection with visual organisms that show the ideas and information in the concept that relate on other. Type of semantic mapping. There are several types of semantic mapping. First, star diagram, spider diagram, fishbone diagram, cluster or cloud diagram. Tree diagram, Venn diagram, and the last vocabulary map graphic organizer. 3. Produce procedure of using semantic mapping. The steps involved in semantic mapping are: write the concept word on the board, explain the step involved, and have students think of as many words as they can for the concept word. Write the list on the board or overhead and have students copy it. And finally, in group, have students put in the word into categories. Theoretical framework. The theoretical framework in this research was shown in the diagram. For input, vocabulary, noun, and adjective. Output, student vocabulary development and semantic mapping strategy. Hypothesis. To test the hypothesis, this research used static hypothesis, namely semantic mapping strategy does not apply the student vocabulary at MTS model Palopo. H1. Semantic mapping strategy applies student vocabulary at MTS Negeri model Palopo. Chapter 3. Research method. Research method. In the research, the writer applied a quasi-experimental design. The experiment involved two groups, an experimental group and a control group. The experimental group received treatment by using semantic mapping strategy, treatment under investigation, while the control group received treatment by using non-semantic mapping strategy. The control group is needed for comparison purpose to see whether or not semantic mapping strategy upgrades student vocabulary given mean. Research variable. In this research, the writer determined two categories of variable. The variable of this research were student vocabulary and semantic mapping. The development variable in this research was student vocabulary. Student vocabulary was collection of English words that students had from their prior knowledge, and the independent variable was semantic mapping. Semantic mapping strategy was grouping in the word on the list into categories and arrange them on the visual map. Population and sample. Population. In this study, the writer took the second grade student of MTS Negeri Model Palopo as a population, which had 9 classes and 3 were to 217 students. Sample. The writer took 2 classes as her sample, Class A and Class B. In academic years 2070, there were 60 students, 30 students of experimental class and 30 students of control class. The technique sampling was purposive sampling. The writer believed that the sample can be a representative population. Instrument of the research. The instrument of this research was vocabulary test. The forms of the test were choose the right one and fill in the blank. The total numbers of the tests were 30 items. Produce of collection data. First, preset, pretest, and posttest. Treatment. First, the writer selected an important word or topic. The writer wrote the word on the clipboard or overhead. The writer encouraged students to think of as many related words as possible. The student and the writer then add labels to groups. Technique of data analysis. Analysis the raw data of vocabulary test. Each of the student correct answer got 1 and the wrong answer got 0. Raw score were confined to a set of core maximum of 100. Converting the score of the student into follows. Classifying the score of the student into the following score classification. Calculating the mean score, standard deviation, frequency table, and test between vocabulary achievement of the experimental by using SPSS static version 22 for Windows evaluation. Okay, I think that's all about the scriptsy, and thanks for watching and thanks for your attention. Let's say assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.